Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Scooch Bomb Commentaries. My name is David Baron von Fabulous Lark. My co-host is,
Callum, the good doctor, Young.
and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Stepping away from the KFPL while it's kind of on hiatus, ready for the new season, and we're instead going to be doing a bit of the Keyforge Online Team Event or KOTE Top Cut. This is in the Top Cut qualifiers. And Callum, do you want to run down who the two teams we're talking about today are?
Yeah, so today we are looking at the playoff between Team Exalted B Plus out of Southampton in the UK and Hamburg Atlanteans 3 out of Hamburg in Germany. Hamburg Atlanteans being notoriously good at this and generally seeing quite a lot at the top of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Team Exalted B having a number of the co-organisers themselves.
Indeed, yeah. You've seen, I think some of the more famous Hamburg Atlanteans are Kiwi, has done very well recently in one of the Keyforge Premier League qualifiers.
Yeah, but they're all pretty good.
Yeah, they are indeed. But yeah, as you say, Team Exalted, not to be outmatched by their team, are in fact the organisers of KOTE. So a big thank you to them, and a thank you to them for letting us do the commentaries of this. We're always looking for new and exciting competition to commentate, and KOTE is one person we played in as a team, and the reasons Team Scooch was formed.
Indeed it is. So thank you to them. So we start off with Moore, the Guildmaster of Talloncliffe.
It's Moon, played. The Guildmaster of Talloncliffe.
Yeah. I can read. Moon, Guildmaster of Talloncliffe, being played by Cminion. So this deck, to me, looks like its main game plan is going to be rushing Ember whilst doing also a reasonable amount with the 15 creature control to just keep clearing the board and stopping your opponent from doing anything. So you've got, start with creature control, you've got Savage Clash, you've got a BDQ, you've got Lost in the Woods, double standardized testing, Positron Bolts. There's a lot of things to do to just prevent your opponent from having creatures on the board.
Yeah, so one of the really nice pieces of removal that you've got is an Entropic Swirl. It's a rare, so you might not have seen it. Is choose a creature. For each trait that creature has, deal 2 damage to it and gain 1 Ember. So, for example, if you used it on a Qmex, it only has 1 trait, so you would do 2 damage and gain 1 Ember. But if you used it on, say, a Shadow Cancel, you would do 6 damage and gain 3 Ember.
So rush and creature control combined, which is very helpful. So you're going to try and play these 14 pips a lot, and you're going to use the Logos to go through the deck pretty quickly, because you've got 10 speed, you've got an enhanced causal loop, and an enhanced Qmex.
Yep, you also got that Eclectic Inquiry as well, just for a little bit of extra archiving.
And one of my personal favourites, Punctuated Equilibrium.
Indeed, you do. Yep, that's another rare, so we'll quickly hover over that. So each player discards their hand, then refills their hand as if it were their draw card steps. So this is a nasty card.
Love it.
So it kind of has it's just like a kind of double-edged thing in that not only are you getting yourself extra cards you can play, so you're going to hopefully be getting yourself like an extra like 2 or 3 untamed cards, but if your opponent is holding anything that they think is going to be really important, that they've maybe like been saving for another time, Punctuated Equilibrium could just toss it out of their hands without them able to do anything.
And you've drawn yourself, you've presumably discarded maybe 2 or 3 cards and drawn a full hand of 6, and where you're hoping to get 2 or 3 of the house you're playing.
Exactly. I think it also means that your opponent has to think more about how they're playing. Like you might think, right, I'm gonna have to take a bad turn here just because I need to get this artifact, say, down, and I can't risk it being Punctuated Equilibrium. I know I've played decks like that against people with Punctuated Equilibrium, have played an artifact, then seen it played the next turn and breathed a massive sigh of relief for doing that. So I think it is potentially a very, very powerful card.
Yeah. So you've got high expected Ember, you've got a decent amount of speed, you've got a little bit of disruption. So basically we're trying to go through that, generate Ember as quickly as possible. The Ember control is scattered, but a bit lacking. So you've got to think it defaults towards a rush.
Yeah, your big Ember controls are, you got a Shadow Cancel, which is one of the weaker leaders of all the leaders, I would say. If you can,
rarely going to go off.
Yeah, an Action Steal 2, it's fine, but I've always said with this card, you could have made it Action Steal 3, or you could have made it Reap Steal 2, and it would have been better and more worthwhile. I think Action Steal 2 is a bit anemic for a leader.
It just lives in the shadow of stuff like Saurus Rex and Val Jericho.
Very, very nice. Very, very good.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Proud of that.
You got a Bone-Ithing, which is good for late game. You've also got a Sting as well, which has the potential to get you quite a lot of Ember. especially with something like Pismire, which increases the key cost. You'd be getting 6 or 8 Ember
Yeah.
off your opponent by playing that at the right time.
And then you could get rid of it with Reclaim by Nature.
Could
Double armor
indeed.
control, very handy.
Very handy,
So,
yes.
shall we look at Sanchez?
I think we should. This is one of my favourite names for a deck I've seen in a while, which is
I'm a big fan of it.
Sanchez the Deceptively Dastardly.
A mustache twirling villain, if I ever saw one.
Oh yes, if any deck's gonna have a mustache, it will be this one, and it will be curly AF.
So this is played by Sredz from the Hamburg Atlanteans. And my first thought about this deck was that it seems to do the same thing as the one we just saw, but essentially by swapping speed for huge amounts of Ember control.
Indeed, yeah.
Because you've got 3 Infernus's,
You
2
do.
Bone-Ivings,
Mm-hmm.
Rad Penny,
Yup.
a potential for a huge one last job.
Yep. So one last job is purge each friendly Shadows creature, steal 1 for each creature purged this way, and you have 7 Shadows creatures, quite a few of which you don't mind purging, like Francis the Economist, Mutant Cut Pursers, Subtle Ottos, all I would be completely fine purging. And with the speed of this deck, Bone-Ivings, are you really going to see them twice? Probably be fine purging those 2 if you can.
And then 29 expected Ember, huge amounts of rush, 17 pips. You've got Vault's Blessing, you've got 2 double Dark Fairy, and potentially a Savage Clash Key Frog combo to close it out with the key cheats.
Yeah, I think the Vault's Blessing is going to be hard to pull off. Both decks have mutants. There's 9 in this, there's 7 in Moon. And with these, I think one of the things that's lacking in this deck is something that I always notice is size of creatures, and you only have 45 power. So I feel like you're going to tend to be not have much on the board a lot of the time.
Yeah, especially as both Sanchez and Moon have a lot of removal.
Yeah, so just getting like much out of that Vault's Blessing is going to be difficult. You've also got a Ritual of the Hunt, which has a similar problem. So another rare, just to go through it, is Destroy Ritual of the Hunt. For the remainder of the turn, you may use friendly untamed creatures, but the likelihood of you having friendly untamed creatures last more than the turn seems slim in this deck, I would say.
Yeah, because there's only 4 of them, and they're all pretty high up on the kill list.
Indeed, indeed.
So, basic matchup question, I think it's going to come down to, can huge amounts of Ember control beat a deck with increased speed?
Yeah, I think it can. I think there's 2 things. I mean, both decks have a lot of Ember pips. Sanchez has 17, Moon has 14. So I think those Infernuses are going to come in incredibly strongly, not just in the case of taking Moon's Ember and purging his good cards, but you sometimes get a situation with Infernuses where your opponents just flip their deck and there's nothing to purge. With 17 Ember pips, you're probably going to be able to find at least a couple of cards that in your own discard pile in a pinch that you're willing to purge to do a bit of Ember control.
So I've got to think that will grind down Moon. And I think with the 29 expected Ember and Sanchez, you only need to stall it a little bit before you can just run away with it.
Yeah, I think the risk is, and it always is the risk with decks like this, is where the speed is so low and you don't have any draw cards, you are just basically playing the cards in the order you get them, that you could just get a bit kind of screwed on the draw. You know, you could say get like both your Bone-Ithings really early, or your Infernuses really early when you don't really need them, and you either have to hold them in your hand and slow yourself down even further, or you just have to play them at not the opportune time. And when we're talking about best of 1, which is the situation we're in here, you know, this isn't adaptive like we're normally talking about.
Yeah,
there's a chance that could really fuck with you. Whereas in Moon, you do have that speed and the logos, which,
well, I guess we'll see how it goes.
We will indeed. Hi there, welcome to the game portion of the episode. Once again, our competitors are Cminion and Sredz. Do you want to tell us which teams they're from, Callum?
Yes, we've got Sredz from Hamburg Atlanteans 3 and Cminion from Team Exalted B+.
Mm-hmm. And we have Cminion on the bottom of the screen and Sredz on the top. So Cminion is playing Moon, the Guildmaster of Taloncliffe. Just showing the deck list here. And Sredz is playing Sanchez, the Deceptively Dastardly.
Great name. Gotta think that Sredz is going to mulligan the opening hand.
I think we might see a double mulligan here, to be honest.
Double Bone-Ithing is not what you really want early on.
Definitely not.
I could see Cminion keeping that, because just whacking the sting down could be pretty strong
but
early
you are
play.
then left with a 2-1-3, which isn't ideal, and I wouldn't be that chuffed with any of those untamed cards that early on.
But they have kept it. So.
No, they have. Well, they've made a fool of me.
And Sredz getting a one last job very early on, which is not great.
Not ideal, but it's the kind of you can just play for an Ember. It's, not the worst thing in the world to do. You're cutting out quite a lot of steel, but it's... With a deck like this where you have to play the cards as they come, getting a one last job early means you're probably not going to be getting as much benefit as you'd like, and you are just going to be willing just to go for the Ember from that.
Yep, a brief pause. I'll just check whether they've got the recording going.
Yep.
So we should probably in some way tell them. And we are doing so. Right, turn 1 Sting.
Turn 1 Sting, as you suggested. Very astute of you, Callum. And we have a nice hello to YouTube there from Sredz.
Sometimes you say hello to YouTube, sometimes YouTube says hello back.
Hmm.
Usually in a less polite fashion.
Indeed.
So these decks are both, I think, going to do quite similar things. So it could just come down to who gets a better run of the draw.
So you see the Waking Nightmare come down, as well as Lycopene and the Waking Nightmare there, just for the Ember, not stopping any keys being forged. But Lycopene, a nice card to get down, just if you get destroyed, steal one. Nice bit of skirmish, get a bit of damage in if you need to. Just a solid card to get down this early on.
Yeah, all of the Fiends are pretty good, because destroyed, steal one is just a pretty solid effect.
Indeed it is. Okay, so we just saw that Untamed come down. A couple of creatures. Got the Techno Beast, which is one of the better kind of combination mutants, which is the Logos effect, which is discard a card from your hand if you do draw a card. It's a pretty nice one, pretty useful one to be able to do.
Interesting you chose to boost the Gloriana's Attendant with protecting the Ember rather than the Beast.
But one last jobbing the bonus thing very early on with then the Lights Out to return those two cards to hand. Good bit of steal there, but only one from the Lights Out and get rid of Bone Ithing. I suppose just happy to get rid of it this early on because you're not going to get the benefit from Bone Ithing.
Yeah, I just don't think that deck is going to cycle through at all as well. So
no, that is one of the things we spotted very early on in our analysis, is that just no speed in the deck at all. In fact, did it have 0 speed, or just above?
0 and 0. 0 on speed and 0 on recursion.
Yeah, exactly. So, and yeah, then we see the Entropic Swirl there, taking out the Lyco Fiend.
Yeah.
So taking out his own creature there to get him 2 Ember and steal 1. Oh no, taking out the opponent's creature. I do apologise. Yeah. So getting him for 2, but having 1 stolen.
Still a good turn.
Yeah. There's a Lost in the Woods there just for the Ember. Sabotage, unfortunately, having to hit his own Dark Fairy with its damage icon.
And we've seen so far what I think we expected, which is nothing has really stuck on the board so far.
No, we very rarely see more than 2 or 3 creatures hanging around for very long. So, Cminion here, not a great hand. What do you think you'd do here, Callum?
Probably go Shadows, you Lights Out, and you Vandalize, hoping that you'll be able to get more value off the Savage Clash next turn.
I would maybe consider doing the Untamed, purely because you maybe want to do that Lights Out turn once you've kind of got that Sting value. And they are quite close to forging a key, so you may be hoping to get some Logos, get yourself a key, and then using that Shadows to sacrifice the Sting.
Maybe. I'm not a big Sting player, so that's good.
I do enjoy the Sting. I've got a couple of decks that use it. Quite a fan. And we do see a Rad Penny come down.
With an enhanced damage on it, so it's going to keep coming back throughout the game.
I can see that goes to Gloriana's Attendant, which it does, just to get rid of it, get it off the board, and we get a nice steal. I'm going to see Bone Ithing again with the damage icon. Straight onto the Techno Beast. Still not getting that benefit of the Bone Ithing, unfortunately, but probably just having to play it, get it out of the hand.
Interesting that he chose to put a damage on the Techno Beast. I'd have just recycled the Bad Penny back into the deck.
Good point. That is a good point. I think I probably would have done the same. Yeah. Now, unfortunately for Cminion here, Sredz didn't get enough to be ready to forge a queue. So he's going to have to continue making that decision of, do I play this Shadows turn and maybe not have very many Shadows turns coming up, or do I keep holding off on this Shadows turn and maybe play something else? What would you do here, Colin, do you think?
So there's going to be at least 2 turns before you want to sacrifice the Sting, right? Because Sredz is going to go over 6, then another turn when they forge, then you want to sacrifice the Sting. So it's a while off yet. So it's going to go Logos.
But we do now see the Reclaimed by Nature, which opens up the options a lot more.
It absolutely does.
And we obviously Sredz is going to forge, because he actually destroyed his own Techno Beast, which had captured an Ember. So forces the Forge and gets him that big Ember from the Sting. Very astute play there from
Nice.
Cminion, I think.
No, yeah, it was well done.
Mm.
So it's a straight up to 11 Ember.
Yep.
Down to 9 with the Infernus.
I think we're probably going to see an Untamed turn here from Cminion, but we're going to look at Sredz's Dis turn first. We've actually got quite a lot to play out here. So the Infernus is going to purge the Rapid Evolution and Neurosiphon to knock a bit of Ember off Cminion.
Just playing out some Ember.
Mm-hmm. And the Pain Reaction just to capture an Ember, because Pain Reaction is deal damage to enemy creatures, so his creatures stay nice and safe.
Could play the Implosion for the Ember, destroying something. I think I would at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You could take out the Bonithing, which is kind of not doing any job on the board, really.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with your one last job already gone as well.
Yeah.
I would think that'd be a decent play.
They are weighing it up right now.
But I think we haven't actually seen that much Dis from them, is the only thing that maybe is counters that. So if you held it, you might be thinking, I'm quite like to draw more Dis here.
Yeah.
But it does get rid of the Picaroon, interestingly. So yeah, as I say, we do see an Infernus and the Gleeful Mayhem come out. So it maybe would have been okay to keep that, but I think it's also perfectly fine just to kind of throw that Implosion out there, get the Ember, keep your heading towards that big Ember target.
Goes Shadows to sacrifice the Sting because the Lost in the Woods with a Bonithing and an Infernus is looking like a rough call.
It's going to Vandalize. Let's see what he discards here. Of course, we can see what he discards, but we can't see what he's put in the top 2 cards of the deck. But he does now know kind of what's coming up, has a bit of foresight, and he gets rid of the Rapid Evolution. Interesting. And we see the lights out. I think Bonithing and Dark Fairy being got rid of here.
Yeah, you don't want to put that Infernus back.
It's also the damage icons on them mean they're like harder to play, and when Cminion isn't looking like he's going to be playing any creatures anytime soon, playing those creatures means you have to put damage on things again, and it's going to hurt your own board. But we did see
on chat with 10 Ember.
And we did see like a lot of Ember going Cminion's way with that Sting. Really got the value out of that whole 6 Ember. So very nice play there.
Yeah. It's a strong card when Mass Mutation doesn't have big Ember answers very often.
It really is. We're going to see Untamed here, Lost in the Woods, just to return that Infernus.
Yep.
So that's going to be coming out, hitting even more things in Cminion's discard pile. And we said a lot of cards in the game have Ember pips on. So you can get a lot of value out of that Infernus as Ember control. We see damage going on the Key Frog.
So you kind of know that's something you have to get rid of because you can't. You really don't want them forging out of turn here.
Yeah.
And we know that's almost certainly going to be coming next turn between the Steel on the Bow, the Steel on the Dread Penny, and the Dark Wave, all of which would probably destroy the Key Frog in some way.
Yeah. So we see, interesting, a Logos turn from Cminion here. Oh, we do have the QMX. I forgot about that. I was going to say I would have expected an Untamed turn, but I think with the QMX, Logos makes far more sense.
Ember QMX with an enhanced Ember on it is very spicy.
It is indeed very spicy. And
capture from the causal loop.
Yep.
And it's just gonna BDQ away the Key Frog.
Yeah, which is very sensible. Just wanting to stop that out of turn forging. Nice play there. And on to 6 for Cminion again, set up for his next key. I think we're probably going to see it Rad Pennied away here, but...
And the bow as well now, the forged one.
Indeed, yeah, just get like a cheeky 2 steal. There's going to be interesting ordering here, because as you said, what you can do here is you can play the Rad Penny, put damage on the Dark Fairy, and then play the Bonithing to hit the Rad Penny, put it back in your deck. And I think we might be seeing that here, because he has to play the Rad Penny before the Bonithing.
And this has been a very back and forth game because the decks are doing very similar things and going on a very similar game plan.
Yeah.
It's just sort of been stopping keys, destroying creatures. I don't think we've seen a Reap in the game yet. seven turns in, I don't think anyone has reaped.
I can't say
they have no. I can check, can't I?
You can indeed. I can't remember one.
Control F Reap yields nothing. Because creatures just haven't stuck on the board enough.
No, they really haven't. I think that's what we were saying in the thing. It's that when you've got so much removal on both sides as well, and we do see the Rad Penny being returned back to... That's oh dear.
That's miserable.
Going for the Logos here, that's interesting. I would have expected an Untamed turn here. Get the Pismire out, make the keys cost more.
Yeah, and it sort of is accepting that you make them forge for 8.
Indeed. But no, quite happy just to get some logos out, stick some things in the archives, and do a bit of capturing.
And now the pain happens.
Well, you say this though, but I'm just looking at what's in the discard. There's only actually 3 Ember Pips in Cminion's discard pile. So while the Infernus is going to hit a lot, it's not going to do as much Ember control, but that's still going to be 3 Ember gone, which no one's going to be thrilled about.
Also, I mean, he can hit his own discard pile.
He can too, yeah. I don't think he will. I think he'll be quite comfortable just getting rid of some of the more key cards like an Entropic Swirl. I'd be very happy to get rid of like a Bouncing Death Quark and a Standardized Testing, just because you control when that
but he's gonna go for the Untamed because it's a very good time to hit that Vault's Blessing. For once, Cminion is looking at no mutants on the board.
Yeah, and he's got his bonus thing is not a mutant, but Dark Fairies and Mutant Compass are. So that's 3 Ember there.
So he's gonna go up to check here with the Dark Fairy. He's gonna fight the QMax probably. Put himself on 7.
Well, no, if I say fight Quixo. Oh, QMax, fair enough.
Because you put yourself on 7 rather than 6, and that's a huge rush there.
It's a
0 to 7.
Big swing.
And Cminion is not looking good in terms of answers.
I don't think Cminion can do anything here because
I don't think they can either.
Well, they can stop the key being forged with the Pismire and the Lost in the Woods.
I don't think you can, because if you Savage
there's a capture on the Lost in the Woods.
But then that would shuffle in any creatures that were on the board.
Yes, but so right, you go Savage Clash first, then you play the Pismire, then you play the. Oh no, you're right. Huh? No, okay. What you can do is.
I don't think they can do it. I think because you Savage Clash will give them an Ember to put them on 8, and then
you just don't play the Savage Clash, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, that'll do it. And then you shuffle back in. But then, do you have enough mutants? I don't.
No, if you can shuffle in, like say, Dark Fairy and Mutant Cutpurse, then you'll have. If you then got rid of Quixo and the Groupthink Tank, you would have more.
But then you can't get rid of the Groupthink Tank because it's got an Ember on it. So
yeah, but you capture 8. One, so they
right,
7.
Yeah, okay. Have they misplayed that?
I think they may be meant to play the Savage Clash first. Would be my only thought.
To be honest, I think even if they manage to avoid the instant defeat here, it is not looking great for them.
No, I think looking at Sredz' hand, you would have likely seen, that massive disc come down next turn and just kind of get rid of all Cminion's Ember if he want to destroy a bunch of their creatures. Yeah.
So the sort of Ember control beats the speed.
Yeah, it really did. I think that's what we were talking about kind of initially, is that there is so much Ember control in Sredz' deck that it was always going to be a possibility that you can just kind of keep stealing and capturing and like losing with Infernuses and be able to recur the Infernuses.
Yeah, it's like they.
Oh wait, we may be.
Maybe continue playing.
Continuation. Yeah, okay.
That's very sportsmanlike and enjoyable for us.
See, it plays Lost in the Woods to return the it's capture on the Quixo. And I guess return.
So if he puts the, yeah, needed to capture on the Pismire, I think.
Yeah. I think you could have got another turn out of this, but I don't think that extra turn...
it doesn't meaningfully alter the result.
It does not, no, unfortunately. So that means that in this series, it goes 1-0 to the Hamburg Atlanteans. We will be getting to the next 2 games as well in this series. So we'll have all 3 games of the series. You'll see the entire series from beginning to end and seeing who gets the top cut of the Keyforge Online Team event.
Is it the Hamburg Atlanteans joining another one of their teams in the top cut, or will it be the KOTE organizers themselves? I think a record showing for Team Exalted.
I, for one, I'm excited to find out.
As am I.
But we're seeing some nice sportsmanship from both players here. Nice little chat after the game. I think that's something you always like to see after a game. And Cminion are offering a rematch for fun here.
They are indeed going for a rematch. I think that will kick us out as spectators.
We'll also leave them to it, I think.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're just kind of creepily watching.
We are indeed creepily watching. But yeah, I think a good game though.
Yeah, it was great.
You know, I think you saw kind of what both decks were trying to do well. You saw that early Sting play, which was very nice to see. But you also saw like the amount of like Ember control in Sanchez, just managing to like make that not a fact. Like normally like a big 6 Ember gain in one turn would be crushing for a lot of decks.
Yeah, like they run 11 Ember and they got 1 key out of that situation.
Yeah.
From the Sting.
Yeah, just no reaping at all that game, basically. Was there a single reap? I can't recall.
There was not. I'm pretty sure there wasn't. Dark Fairy lived on the board just long enough to fight for 2 Ember.
There was a fight for 2 Ember, but no reaping. Yeah, so excellent game there. We have been Screech Bomb Commentaries. I have been David Baron von Fabulous Lark. This has been my co-host,
Callum, the good Dr. Young.
And thank you very much for listening. We hope to see you again in our next episode. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.